the questions that a lot of people have, it's, of course, when it comes to their pocketbook, their wallets, their money. We're talking inflation, what's interest rates, and what is next to come. You know, I'm no expert in it, but Justin Farmer with Exit Wealth, he is the expert. Justin, first of all, thanks for joining us on this Thursday there. You know, top of mind for so many people, our inflation, our interest rates, what is next to come, and how are we looking at it? First of all, thanks for being with us.
Hey, Eric, always good to see you. So, yeah, it's intertwined. So let's have a look at it. The soft landing, as you've heard the Fed maybe talk about the past few years, that is on life support, and it's really focused because of gas prices now surging over $4 a gallon nationally anyway, a little less in Georgia. And again, we know that this is due to the conflict in the Middle East, specifically to the Strait of Hormuz. With Iran, 20% of the global oil supply moves through the Strait of Hormuz. And while the United States, we don't use that oil. We are largely energy independent. Still, because it's a commodity and it's a global commodity where the price moves up and down dramatically due to conflict, we're all going to be a victim of it, so to speak. So when you have gas prices elevated, Eric, it is not just the pain at the pump. It is going to trickle through almost all aspects of the economy.
Okay, so what's one thing people need to watch over the next few months to kind of understand where the economy is heading, or even maybe the next days and weeks to come?
It's incredible, isn't it? As the headlines change by the hour, the price of oil moves up and down, and the volatility in the stock market is just all over the place. So in terms of what you should watch, I mean, unless you're just trying to tune it out because you want to enjoy the gorgeous Georgia spring, and that I also do understand. But if you are into some of the information, especially as it relates to the conflict and the geopolitical headwinds, it's a direct correlation to what's happening with our economy. Energy costs up almost 13% since February. And what that means is inflation is sticky. And why does that matter so much? Well, it makes everything more expensive. But secondly, it shows us that the Fed, its hands are basically tied when it comes to trying to lower interest rates. If you go back to December, there was a lot of optimism that in this year of 2026, the Fed would be able to start inching down those interest rates, which would be great for the economy and great for the everyday consumer, because we're all exposed to things like auto loans and credit card rates, the rate you pay on those, mortgage interest, a HELOC loan. All those interest rates can be affected by what the Fed's doing. And we were hoping the Fed was going to start dropping interest rates, but then the dust up in the Middle East, that drives up energy prices, that drives up inflation, and the Fed is simply not going to drop interest rates when we're fighting inflation.
You know, you mentioned it earlier. I want to go back to this point. The tentacles of this reaches so many different things. When it comes to buying a home or credit cards, car loans, what are we seeing in that capacity for people out there?
Yeah, so unless you have a loan such as a General Motors or a BMW or something, the manufacturer, unless they are sort of artificially subsidizing loans when you see that introductory rate of, 1.9% for 36 months or something, that's where the manufacturer is basically putting cash into the loan so that it's lower for you and me, and then we're more incentivized to buy their vehicle. But save that kind of move, you're going to see loan rates on automobiles stay elevated, especially for those higher demand vehicles. So if you want to go buy the hot new SUV that's out there, it's a bummer because the money that you're going to borrow to buy that car is going to be probably in the 6 to 7, almost 8% range. What does that mean? That car just got more expensive. If you have credit card debt and you've been praying that the Fed would drop rates and that credit card debt would start to lower, at least the cost of carrying that debt, that's not going to be depressed for a while. I think the Fed is going to be in a holding pattern. There are some, Eric, who have predicted that the Fed may start raising interest rates. That I do not believe. I just don't think there's an appetite among the governors and the Fed to raise interest rates on the Fed board. I don't think that's going to happen, especially if Warsh gets in there as the new Fed chair, replacing Jay Powell. He's going through the nomination process. My bottom line is this. I think interest rates are going to stay steady, yet elevated for several months.
All right, before we go, what should viewers do right now to protect their finances, especially as we're going into the summer months? People want to get out and they want to have more money in their pockets. What can people be doing right now to get ready, protect, and all of that stuff?
Yeah, Eric, there's one piece of good news when you have interest rates elevated, and that is the savers among us, they can do very well. And let me be specific. Most Americans leave too much cash in their daily checking account, and it earns next to nothing in terms of interest. Make sure any extra cash you have or in your savings account, it really needs to be earning at least 4%. That's a money market. Sometimes a high yield savings account is offered by your neighborhood bank. But you can actually do a lot better than 4%. That's when you talk to a money professional. But if you have got too much cash sitting in your local bank around the corner, it's not earning you any money. And the trick to building wealth is have your money working for you while you're sleeping and vacationing. And that's how you build wealth. And at 4% and more, it starts to make a difference.
All right, Justin Farmer, a wealth of knowledge. We appreciate you, all of the tips and tricks. And you mentioned it and you said it so well. Each day is a new headline. One day you think the oil is going down. The next day it's going up. So we appreciate you being here to break all of that down for us in simple terms. We appreciate you being here.
You got it.